Hello everyone, welcome to the discussion of the CIMA November 2018 Operational Case Study Pre-Scene. My name is Hashan Madushanka and I'm the founder and lead tutor of LCI Academy. LCI Academy is of course an online study provider for CIMA OTQ exams as well as case studies. So speaking a little bit about myself, I have been coaching students globally for all the operational case study sessions so far. So from March 2015 until the most recent session, there have been 15 sessions of operational case study exams. So I have been coaching for all the sessions so far. I have coached thousands of students globally with exceptional pass rates as well as national prize winners in countries such as Sri Lanka, India, Botswana, etc. Right. So enough about myself. So now let's move on to the industry and the pre-scene that you have to deal with. So right at the top, you have the name of the company, which is of course GymFit. So from the name itself and of course from the logo, you can figure out what the industry is all about. It's probably a chain of gyms. Now, if you look at all the past sessions for operational case study, most of the time you all had to deal with, or most of the time students had to deal with manufacturing organizations. And this time it seems to be a service related business. Now, generally the examiner tries to push manufacturing companies most of the time because most areas that you study under the three subjects P1, E1 and F1 would of course be relevant for manufacturing. For instance, if you look at something like standard costing, it's useful to have a tangible standard product in order to come up with a standard cost card, whereas for a service industry it would be a little difficult. Right, so nevertheless, let's see how we are going to progress. So we have the contents of the pre-scene going on to around 22 pages, which is of course the standard for most case study sessions. Now, before I go ahead and start discussing the pre-scene, I would like to request you for a small to take some action, and this would be of course to get a printed copy of your pre-scene. Now that the pre-scene is released, the student copy is released, you can download the pre-scene and take a printout of it. Now rather than having a soft copy, I would prefer you to have a hard copy because it will be easier for you to make notes as we move on. Now, unlike other online study providers that produce discussion videos, I'm not going to annotate the pre-scene. I'm not going to make notes on the pre-scene since I believe that you doing that would be the most effective thing, right? So I don't want to be spoon feeding, but rather I would like you all to make your own notes because that's extremely effective rather than simply copying notes put out by a different person. So number one, I want you to get a hard copy of the pre-scene right next to you. Number two, I want you to get a notepad, and number three, of course, you need to have a pen. So if you don't have these right now, please pause this video, and once you get these into your hand, you can continue watching the video. So I believe you have the hard copy of the pre-scene, a pen, and of course a notepad right next to you by now. So whatever points I make relevant to the pre-scene, please make sure that you make your own notes in the pre-scene itself. If it's of course something detailed, then you can use your notepad. Right, so starting off with the first page, you have your job description, and as with every session, you're of course the finance officer for GymFit. Now the CIMA qualification reflects an organizational hierarchy which is broken into operational, management and strategic level. So right now you're at the operational level and you would be employed as in the position of a finance officer. So as a finance officer, you have a range of responsibilities, a range of duties to carry out, mostly involved with, of course, technical aspects, and this is why your operational case study offers 64% marks from technical. You also have to possess business sense, right? You need to be able to analyze the situation correctly, and that would of course fall under business skills. Then it is also important for you to manage or deal with people. Now at this level you may not have to manage people as such, but then again you need to comment about motivation levels and so on, and resistance to change, right? So that falls under people skills. And whenever you have to recommend or advise, that would fall under leadership skills, which only makes up 6% of the marks, because at the operational level you would hardly be involved in making decisions, since your role is primarily to support information for the decision maker, which can be a manager or maybe a director. So as stated here, your main role is to support Stephen Potter, who is the finance manager. So that's your immediate superior, and you would be directly reporting to Stephen. Your tasks include production of the annual budget, producing monthly management accounts, and providing information to management as required. You also assist with the preparation of the financial statements and deal with any queries regarding financial reporting. Right, so all these areas mentioned here clearly connects to the subjects P1 and F1. If you look at production of the annual budget, budgeting and forecasting makes up around 25% of your P1 syllabus. So you need to be thorough with how the budgets are prepared, the order in which the budgets are prepared. Also the different types of or the different approaches to budgeting, such as incremental, zero-based, activity-based budgeting, and so on, and of course rolling budgets. Then regarding the level of participation in budgeting, it could be a top-down or a bottom-up approach, or it could be somewhat of a mix between the two. You also need to be thorough with budgetary control reports, how or why we need to flex the fixed budget to suit the changes in activity levels. Then of course the behavioral aspects of budgeting, right? How the employees can manipulate or play around with the budget, behavioral implications such as budgetary slack or seeing the budget as a pot of cash that need to be spent. So those are things that you need to be aware about. Then the next aspect talks about monthly management accounts. Now you need to clearly differentiate between management accounting and financial accounting. Financial accounting is primarily to deliver information to external stakeholders, which can be your shareholders, the government, and so on. Management accounts would primarily be for the use of the internal management consisting of the directors and the senior managers and so on. So when preparing these accounts, you need to consider the costing method to be used. Right? You have methods such as marginal and absorption costing as well as activity-based costing. You need to have a proper idea on inventory management, how to value the inventory. Then using the management accounts, you may also produce variance reports in order for the management to understand how well or how worse the company has performed. And that's a part of providing information to the management. Then apart from that, you are also involved in F1 related tasks, which is of course preparation of the financial statements for reporting purposes and to deal with any queries regarding reporting. So how exactly are we going to deal with a transaction with application to an accounting standard? For instance, you may have a foreign transaction and your help or your support might be needed on how to account for it. So you can always bring in IAS 21 and talk about how the transaction should be accounted for. Now keep in mind that although the tasks that are included here are mainly from P1 and F1, please do not neglect the areas in E1. The modern business world has evolved in such a manner that you can't afford to be specialized in a few areas. You need to work in coordination with other departments as well. So although you're in the finance department, you would also have to liaise with marketing, HR, operations, IT, and so on. So if you look at your E1 syllabus, you see that the E1 syllabus is broken down into areas that represent the functions of the company. As I mentioned, operations management, human resource management, uh, of course IT. Then you are looking at also marketing. So you will, or your support will be required in queries relating to these areas as well. So you would have a balanced exam with regards to these three subjects, although P1 is generally the dominant subject, which can account for around 35 to 45% of your marks. Right, so moving on to the next page. So this was simply an introduction about your job role. So now we have background information regarding the company you're dealing with. So the name goes as GymFit. GymFit is a fast growing leading provider of low cost gyms and one of the pioneers of the low cost gym model, which is based on relatively low gym membership fees and a no frills service concept. Right, so some items to discuss here. So we see that it's a fast growing company. So when you say fast growing, this may be reflected by the increase in our sales revenue from one year to the next. It could also be relevant to the profit that we generate, that our profits are keeping on increasing. Now there are instances where you see an increase in your top line, which is of course sales, but maybe the bottom line has not increased significantly, or maybe it's stagnant. And sometimes companies like this are also categorized as fast growing companies because it may be a matter of time until their bottom lines also pick up. Then the next set of terms would be the leading provider. So leading provider may mean that we are the biggest player in the market, or maybe we are one of the major players, at least among the top 5. And we see that we are operating low cost gyms. Now with general knowledge, most of you would know that certain gyms, they charge a very high membership fee, and these gyms generally provide better facilities in terms of let's say juice bars and steam baths, wet facilities such as swimming pools and so on. But in our case, that doesn't seem to be what we are focused on. We may be looking at providing low membership fees as mentioned here, and of course no frills service concept. So what you mean by no frills would be there are no add-ons, right? We would be simply providing the basic items needed for a customer. So it may be set of exercise machines, washroom facilities and so on, and of course drinking water, right? So we are looking at the low cost gym model, and we are called one of the pioneers of the low cost gym model, possibly because we may have been one of the first companies or one of the first gyms to start this model, or maybe we started late but still we managed to pick up aggressively, and we are one of the leading gyms in the country. So we currently have 102 gyms with 486,000 members. Now when you are looking at these numbers, if you simply divide the number of members by the number of gyms that we have around roughly 4,764 or 4,765 members per gym. But that doesn't mean that all the members are evenly distributed. some gyms might have a very high level of numbers, whereas other gyms might have low levels, depending on the area and depending on the perception of people and the commitment of the local community to being healthy, right, and working out and visiting the gym regularly. Now, when you look at the word member, a member can possibly be someone who has a commitment or some sort of a subscription, which can be an annual subscription or which can be a monthly subscription, for example. Now, there are also certain individuals who might visit the gym obtaining a daily pass. So if you want to go to the gym today, you simply pay a small fee, use the gym facilities, and if you want to go another time, you have to again pay that fee. So I'm not sure as to whether they consider such individuals to be members as well. Now, having 4,700 odd members, you should not think that all of the gyms are extremely crowded, because you can't expect all these members to visit the gym all at once, right? So there might be different times of the day that people visit, but 4,700 members for a gym, that's quite a high amount. So possibly they might have to look at having gyms with a very wide or very vast flow area, right? At the end of the day, you wouldn't want the gym to be too crumbled and people staying in line for the exercise machine, around 5 to 6 people staying in a queue for the exercise machine. I mean, you wouldn't want to see that happening, because customers would be extremely dissatisfied if time is wasted due to poor organization. So we have 102 gyms with 486,000 members based in major towns and cities throughout Seltland, which is of course a country in Europe. Now, by the way, please keep in mind that Seltland is a hypothetical country. Now, more often I see certain students, doing extensive research through Google on trying to find out what exact country is the pre-scene based on. Please remember that your examiner will set this pre-scene based on a purely hypothetical company as well as a hypothetical country. So any resemblance to an actual company or an actual country is generally coincidental. So please don't waste your time doing extensive research. Now, I'm of course encouraging you to research about the industry, but you don't have to research about what exact country are they referring to, because even the examiner might have no clue, because it might be a purely random or hypothetical country that the examiner would have come up with. The company was founded in 2005, right? So that's 13 years ago, using finance from a venture capitalist, Land Ventures. So with your general business terminology, I'm sure all of you would know who a venture capitalist is. A venture capitalist is some party or company that would provide money for startups to start the business, and they would obtain a share of their profits, so somewhat like a shareholder. And after some time, they might recover their money back from the company. Now, it's currently listed in the Seltland Stock Exchange and uses the C dollar as its home currency. Now, out of the 15 operational case study sessions that have taken place since 2015, I remember a public limited company or a listed company appearing maybe once or maybe twice. So more often than not, the company concerned or company in concern in the pre-scene is a private limited company, a private equity company, but in our case, we have a public limited or a listed company. Now, there are certain accounting standards and other aspects in our syllabus that would be relevant only to public limited companies. One such example would be, of course, IFRS 8 operating segments. Right, so operating segments would be a part of the financial reporting, where you report information of individual segments separately. So if you're a private limited company, it's not compulsory to do this, but if you're public limited, yes, of course you have to. Another area would be consolidated financial statements. Now, in certain situations, private limited companies may also have to prepare consolidated statements, but if you are a public limited company, generally it's a must to prepare consolidated statements. Then another area that came into my mind is corporate governance. Now, corporate governance would be reflected from the board structure, the amount of powers that the directors have, and also how often they meet and so on. So they might need to form a couple of boards like the remuneration committee, the audit committee, and the nominations committee. They should maintain a healthy balance between executives and non-executives. So as we proceed through the pre-scene, we will probably have information on the management team, and using this information, we should be able to understand to what extent they have maintained corporate governance. Now, the currency is of course the C dollar, which is once again a hypothetical currency. Do not mistake this with the Australian dollar or the US dollar, right? It's a purely hypothetical currency. Now, the currency can be relevant when it comes to foreign exchange transactions. For example, if we are importing gym equipment, or if we are importing, let's say, protein supplements and so on from other countries, then you need to account for foreign transactions using IAS 21. Right, so many areas that come into my mind, and I hope you are taking notes on these. Right, so this will be very helpful when you are studying, and especially due to you taking your own notes. Now, at this level, an extremely high knowledge regarding the industry is not essential for you to pass your exam. But then again, it's nice to know about the industry that you have to deal with, because certain questions that may come up in the case study may be similar to practical things that are happening in the industry. So we at LCI Academy have prepared an industry analysis which is not too detailed like most other providers. This is simply something close to 30 pages, and that will of course save your time. So within these 25 to 30 pages, we have included the most relevant information that would be helpful for you to get a feel about the industry. Right, so we have information on the revenue from 2012 to 2017, and it looks really great because you see that there's a steady growth in the revenue. It almost amounting to a straight line. So the company has grown rapidly from sales revenue of 17.8 million in 2012 to 73.1 million in 2017. So within these 6 years, the revenue has more than quadrupled, around 411% from 17.8 to 73.1. So that's an extremely good sign for a growing company. So you see that the revenue has increased by at least 50% throughout all the different years. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind is that the market share is measured based on the revenue made. So there is a possibility that our market share might have increased. Now, the growth in revenue might be due to us taking a better effort in marketing ourselves, and also promoting our products or promoting our facilities to potential customers, and that attracts more and more customers. It could also be due to the market size increasing. Now, with the current trend, food patterns that people consume, and also the lifestyle of most people, the amount of physical activity is less. People would be highly concerned about their health levels. Now, fast food industry is constantly, it's definitely increasing, and it is commonly known that fast food is not healthy for you. And also due to the information technology, the information age being dominant, we see a lot of people simply seated from say 9 to 6 and also just going back home and not getting much of an exercise. So people are being made more and more aware about this fact, about the increasing risk of heart diseases, about obesity and so on. So it is very important for people to hit the gym and gain some muscle or maybe lose some calories and so on in order to be fit. So maybe the conditions in the country were such that people are getting more and more driven into an active and healthy lifestyle. So that may have increased the market size, which would have, of course, a positive impact on the revenue levels for gyms. And another factor you need to consider is whether the profit also increased from 2012 to 2017. Now, a gym is definitely a place of type of a business with a very high proportion of fixed cost rather than variable cost, because one of the main expenses in the gym would be the cost of purchasing equipment, and the operational cost of this would be the depreciation that's charged to the SOPL. So irrespective of the number of members that visit the gym, the depreciation may happen constantly. So as more and more members join the gym, it would definitely have a greater impact on the profit due to the higher margin. The number of gyms it operates has also increased during the same period from 26 to 102. So here also the number of gyms, just like the revenue, has increased by, or it has quadrupled. So maybe the amount of revenue that is made by the new gyms are pretty much constant. The rapid increase in the number of gyms has been through a mixture of organic growth and acquisition of existing gym groups. So organic growth refers to growing by yourself as a company. So this is where you establish new branches in certain geographic areas, or else the other method that they have used is to acquire existing companies. The company is now the second largest operator of low-cost gyms in Southland. Now, this does not mean that GymFit is the second largest gym overall in Southland, because it's clearly stated as low-cost gyms. So maybe there are different categories or segments within the gym industry. So within the category or the segment that they operate in, they are of course the second largest operator. Now, we may get to hear a lot about the largest operator, because it may be such that the competition between GymFit and the largest operator is quite fierce, right? So another factor that we need to look at is whether the largest operator is more profitable than GymFit, because when you say the largest operator, that is the company that has the highest market share in the industry, and of course market share is measured based on sales revenue and not profit. So just because you're the market leader, that doesn't mean that you're the most profitable company in the industry, because there have been instances where the largest operator in the industry, records a loss in its financial statements. So we need to pay higher attention to profits and of course shareholder wealth, being a listed company. Although maximizing your revenue would also be necessary, because revenue and profit generally have a positive relationship. But so far it seems like we have done well. From 2012 to 2017, the number of gyms as well as the sales revenue has increased by more than 4 times. Although it's necessary for us to check the industrial statistics and see whether our growth rate has been higher than the industry as well as our close competitors. GymFit's business model offers 24/7 gym operating hours and a no contract membership. That is, there is no fixed membership period. So this provides a lot of flexibility to the members in two ways. 24/7 operating hours would be very convenient because there are certain individuals that are able to make it to the gym in the morning hours, but people who are employed in regular working times may be able to come to the gym towards, let's say, 7 or 8 p.m. Also, there are some individuals who have worked till late night and they may want to hit the gym after that, so maybe at around, say, 11 p.m. or even after that. So having a 24/7 concept would be very convenient to people, although generally after midnight until maybe 5 a.m. you can't expect many people to work out, right? Now, having operating for 24 hours, it can also increase overheads such as electricity. And if there are trainers that are deployed throughout the clock, then that would also increase our cost. Although trainers are not highly required for certain hours, such as from midnight to maybe 5 a.m. And the other method of providing flexibility is a no contract membership. Now, certain gyms have a policy, they might tell you that you have to go for an annual membership, and other facilities such as daily membership and monthly membership are not provided. But in the case of GymFit, there is no contract membership, which would be very convenient for the individuals wanting to use their facilities. The high specification gym equipment used is eco-friendly. Now, the terms eco-friendly makes me think about environmental management accounting, which is covered in subject P1. So over time, companies have to gear their operations in a sustainable manner, right? So they need to look at the damage that are caused by the company to the environment and take every possible step to reduce it. Now we have some information about how GymFit does it as we read on. In order to offer low membership fees, their model is based on a no-frills concept, meaning that facilities are restricted to gym equipment. There are no wet facilities such as saunas or pools, no cafes or bars that you would expect to find in a traditional health club. So that makes perfect sense because operating a sauna could be expensive, and also constructing a pool can be quite expensive, where the depreciation gets spread over a long time period. Now, operating a cafe and a bar would also require some space in the gym, which GymFit seem to be utilizing to maybe employ some additional machines. So it gives the basic requirements, it satisfies the basic requirement. And also they mention that gym equipment, it says high specification gym equipment. So although they go as a low cost provider, it is possible that they may be offering, they may have included machines of high quality, and they of course save their cost by not giving out additional facilities such as saunas, pools, cafes and bars. The low-cost model used by GymFit is dependent on advanced technology. Prospective GymFit members can join using a simple online process that can be completed in minutes. Members can also manage their accounts, view class timetables and book classes online. The use of technology results in an efficient staffing model with, for example, no need for dedicated in-gym sales and marketing teams. Right, so this is definitely a smart move, especially if most people in the country are comfortable with technology. So as you see, to join the gym, you have to make the payments and you have to get the information through the website, right? So it would be very convenient for the company as well, because they need not uh, deploy receptionists and cashiers to every gym, because all the payments happen online. So this saving in staff cost would be quite significant. And also, it seems like the process is a simple one that can be completed in minutes. So this is important, since you have a range of customers that can make the payments online, and some of these customers may not be very comfortable with making online payments and the usage of the internet. And due to this strategy, there is no need for dedicated in-gym sales and marketing team. So seems like they are promoting and marketing their business through the website as well. So it's definitely a part of a lean concept which will save overheads for the company. However, they need to ensure that their website is up and running all the time, and they do the necessary updates to prevent it from crashing, because a couple of hours if the website is down, this could cost them a lot of money, because people who wanted to register may not be able to register, and they might immediately pick some other alternative, especially if the industrial competition is fierce, right? So managing the IT system is very crucial to the success. It's definitely a critical success factor given the business model. So that is something GymFit needs to keep a thorough eye on. Right. So that brings to the end of the introductory video covering the initial pages of the pre-scene. However, you always have the option of getting the entire set of videos down. All you have to do is simply visit our website lciacademy.com, and we have many packages that you can pick from for your operational case study in November. So I will include the link below. Now if I'm to talk a little about the package that we have, it would of course cover the entire pre-scene with a set of videos like this. And we also have an industry analysis covering the gym industry. It's a concise analysis with where we have included all the relevant information, which doesn't take too much time. It's something close to 30 pages. Then we have another product named the strategic analysis, where the entire pre-scene will be analyzed in terms of SWOT, PESTEL, 4 P's of marketing. And in this case, it's not 4 P's, I'm sorry, it's 7 P's, because it's a service industry. Then we also cover the value chain analysis, the Mendelov matrix, and so on in the strategic analysis. Then we also provide a familiarization workbook which covers around 7 questions from each subject, 7 tasks that are applicable, that are applied to GymFit, including the model answers. So that would be very useful for you when warming up for your mock exams. And also after that, we provide 5 mock exams applicable to GymFit, which you can practice in our online exam platform. So keep in mind, from my experience, I'm telling you, one of the keys to pass this exam is through practice. You need to practice mock exams. Now, analyzing past variants would definitely be useful, because it will help you understand how the exam is structured, but you cannot rely only on past variants. You need to practice mock exams, and at least 5 mock exams you need to practice before the exam if you want to achieve the intended pass mark, right? I'm talking out of my experience. I have done this for 15 times, and this is my 16th session. I have coached students globally, so I know a thing or two about case study exams. So I'm telling you, you need to practice mock exams. It's extremely important. Now, in our goal package, we also offer Skype sessions. You will get your own dedicated tutor that you can talk to. You can clear your doubts. You can schedule sessions with the tutor whenever you need. And Of course, we provide marking. We will be marking your mock exams and providing a complete feedback report on how you have performed, where you need to improve, along with the marks that you have scored. And time to time, we will also be offering free study material. We will soon be uploading a mini mock exam, and once this is uploaded, I will make sure to include the link of this in the video, in the bottom of this video. And I have another video that I have created some time ago on the top 10 reasons as to why students fail the operational case study exam, and of course how to overcome these. There is a video as well as a blog post, and I shall include the links for both of these at the bottom of this video, so please check it out. So with that being said, thank you so much for listening to this video, and I wish you all the very best with your operational case study exam.